It's a living nightmare. Day started off like any other.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to.
Why?
I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school.
Stephan, where's Maddie? Did you hurt her? Are you a pedophile? What's on your cell phone? Why aren't you talking to investigators? Where was Maddie last seen? Why aren't you helping her mother and her family? This is a little girl. Help them find Maddie. Where is Maddie? Where is she? What did you do with her? Tell us something.
Okay, horrible news. If you've been following the case out of Orange County, Florida, not California, the case of Maddie Soto. So she just turned 13.
It's birthday party.
Happy birthday to you.
That was the last time she spoke to her daughter before she was driven to school Monday morning by Soto's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns.
She just turned 13 Thursday, February 22nd. And so Friday was the 23rd, Saturday was the 24th, Sunday was the 25th. Madeline turned 13, had this birthday party. The next day, that Monday, supposedly her mother's boyfriend, this Stephan Sterns, skeevy guy, supposedly he was the one who dropped her off at school that Monday morning. She was still in middle school. And now the cops just had a press conference in Orange County saying they have evidence to believe, even though they haven't found Maddie yet, she's likely not alive.
I wish we were here to tell you that we have found Madeline, but we have not found her. Last night, detectives from the Kissimmee Police Department met with Madeline's mother, and they had to tell her the very devastating news that although we have not found Madeline, we are now confident that she is dead.
It's enough of these cases already, with Audrey's case and now with little Maddie, just turning 13 on Thursday. We're going to take a look at this pervy guy and his Reddit comments and the weird interview with him lurking in the background like a creeper.
Well, Monday morning, we took her to school. We dropped her off close to school, across the street from a church, which is it's right next to the school. She crossed the street and walked to school, what we thought walked to school. My boyfriend who drove her to school drove away at that point. It was seen on video footage that she hung out in the parking lot of the church for a few minutes and then got up and walked towards the school. But she never made it. That walk and that was around 9 a.m. when she got up. She never made it to school after that. It's right next to the school. I don't know why she didn't make it. I don't know if something happened on her walk along the way or if she got taken, but she never made it.
With Maddie's mom was in most interviews. Her name is Jen Soto. And so she's in most interviews, but Stephan is like lurking around in the background, but he's been arrested. Thankfully, he's in jail. It's for charges they can't elaborate whether they belong specifically to Maddie. Chances are they likely do belong to her, unfortunately. We're going to take a look at the weird interview before he was even arrested and before we knew all of this news we found out today, Friday, March 1st.
So our efforts will be focused on recovering Madeline. Dozens and dozens of detectives, crime analysts, and specialized team members have been working nonstop and following up on every single lead and every shred of evidence. Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time and that Stephan Sterns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day.
So supposedly the line was that Maddie's mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, dropped Maddie off in front of some Peace United Methodist preschool. So that's at 13502 Town Loop Boulevard in Orlando. So that's only about 0.4 miles away, or a 9-minute walk to school from Hunters Creek Middle School, 13400 Town Loop Boulevard. Supposedly it's a common drop-off spot because, you know, how crowded it can be at drop-off time. I'm gonna lay off of Maddie's mom. She just found out this news. Some people think she's a little sketchy too. Some people are thinking there's, you know, rumors on Facebook. I'm only bringing them up because that's what viewers will talk about. But I'm laying off of her because it is very possible Maddie's mom, Jen, may have had no idea what her boyfriend was into and all the gross stuff they found on his phone. We'll get into the affidavit a little bit, whatever I can read on YouTube.
If you see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. There's no way to track her right now because the detectives don't have her phone.
So she might not have known about her boyfriend's sinister shenanigans. If the TikTok series Who the F Did I Marry taught us anything, it's that something can be going on right under your own nose, right in your own home, and people don't know what their spouse or significant other might be up to. Some people are great liars, they're great at hiding things, and some people threaten children not to tell, unfortunately, what they're going through. I recently watched a 2020 case, I'll try and put a little bit on the screen here, where this amazing little boy, he lost his mom at the hands of his stepdad, and his stepdad had been mistreating him, but his mom did not know any of this. She was none the wiser because the stepdad threatened the little boy, don't tell your mom basically what I'm doing to you or else it's going to get worse. He wasn't necessarily abusing him in the nature that of this case we're talking about here, but the fear was still there. It feels like on the heels of Audrey, this one, everything.
And that was the last anyone's seen of her or heard from her?
Yes. I went to pick her up after school, and she wasn't there. So I started driving around, maybe thinking she took a walk. Maybe she decided to walk to my mom's office, which is pretty close to the school as well. Drove around and I didn't see anything. I drove back to the school. The school was closed. I emailed one of her teachers. They confirmed that she was absent all day. At that point is when I called 911 because I realized something was truly wrong.
But this creepy guy here, this Stephan, he's lurking behind the mom, carrying this little drink. People have a lot to say about them hugging and her kind of comforting him, you know, but this is before Stephan was arrested. I can't say that she knew anything about what was going on. Plus, Stephan's own interview is weird and creepy. He's like crying and the loud sniff, and it reminds me of Chris Watts when he would try and sniff so loudly, like, don't you hear me crying? Don't you hear me crying? Ugh.
It's a living nightmare. Day started off like any other.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to.
Why?
I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school.
We'll talk about sustinet. Sustinet. That's the name that Stephan goes by on Instagram and Reddit. We'll look at a few of his weird telling Reddit comments, but I guess sustinet means a third person singular present active indicative of sustineo, which is defined as to hold up or upright or uphold, support, and sustain. So why did he choose that name? I don't know, but this weird interview, Jen is giving her version of events. Now, granted, this might have been just what Jen has been told, not that she's implicated in any way.
Have you heard from like any of her friends? Has she been active on any social media?
She hasn't been active on social media, none of her chats, none of her games. We did contact all her friends. None of them had seen her Monday or heard from her. Yeah, there's no update.
And I have to ask this, and I know I hate doing it, but is she the type that would run away? Has this happened in the past or anything? Has she ever threatened to run away?
Never. She's never ever mentioned anything like this before, and she's not the type to want to do this. She did accidentally leave her phone on Monday, which is kind of normal for her. She's got ADHD and very forgetful. So she left her phone at home, so there's no way to trace her. They tried tracing her school laptop, but that's off, so it's not pinging to anything.
Jen, what is your fear? I know you mentioned she's on games and stuff. Do you think she could have like met somebody and tried to meet up with them?
She's open to us. She's open with us about, if she's got a crush with anyone, and she told us she had a crush on someone at school. And I looked at their messages, nothing was weird. I looked at all of her messages, all of her deleted messages. Nothing seemed weird. It didn't seem like she was talking to anyone. So I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like she may have been taken, because this is not like her at all, to just disappear and not let us know where she's going or who she's with. Yeah.
What are you getting from law enforcement? Are they actively searching for her? I mean, what happens now? I mean, especially that she doesn't have her phone with her.
So as far as I know, they're conducting a search around the school. Behind the school, there's a Shingle Creek. There's a wooded path area that you could walk. It's a hiking path. They are going back there with their canine dogs. They've taken a piece of her clothing to see if they can trace her scent. They're also taking their own vehicles. I'm not sure what type of vehicles, but they're going into the woods to search for her. But I don't feel like that's going to find anything right now. We've had people all day on that trail sending us photos to see if anything there looks familiar and like her personal belongings, and nothing is hers. So I'm not sure where to go from here. I'm just contacting the news to get the word out, to get some help, because I'm desperate. I'm a wreck right now.
So you think that she's been taken against her will?
I do think so, yes.
As a mom, what's your mother's intuition telling you right now?
I'm trying to hope for the best, but I'm scared for her. I want her to be okay, and I want her to be safe. I don't want her to come back harmed. I just want her back, whatever that means. I just want her back.
Are you getting any updates from law enforcement? I mean, yes, they're searching that small area, but have they gotten any hits on any scent or anything like that?
They haven't let me know anything. They haven't updated me since I spoke to them this morning. I've contacted them to get some information or to give them some leads, but I've heard nothing back.
And Jen, there's no way that she, just being, a teenager, was like, maybe had a fight with you or an argument with you and was like, you know what, I'm going to go hang out at so-and-so's house and teach her a lesson. Could that be a scenario?
I don't believe so. We actually haven't gotten into a fight in like a few weeks, or arguments or anything like that. If anything, on Sunday, she celebrated her 13th birthday with my entire family, and she had the best day. She was so happy. She showed us all her gifts. She's just a happy girl, and she showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was so happy. So, she had the best day. I just, there was no moment in that evening from when she got home from the party that she had her phone or had the laptop. She went straight to getting ready and went to bed. So I know she didn't have any conversations with anyone. She didn't make plans with anyone. I didn't see any of that.
So she's spent the whole Sunday celebrating her 13th birthday. Was her 13th birthday on that Sunday, or that was just like the time you guys were celebrating?
That was the time we were celebrating. Her birthday was on Thursday, the 22nd.
Okay,
She just turned 13.
But that's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday, and then the very next day, that's gone. The last you've seen of her.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you go now? Are you gonna go out there and search or look, or what is are you sticking by the phone? Are you what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears. I know my entire family is out looking. They've all spread a bunch of flyers. I've had people contact me that they've gone to the international airport to spread flyers, to Amtrak, to Greyhound, just any way that if someone's taken her and they're trying to take her, just to show her face, just to make sure, she's not being taken against her will.
And you mentioned ADHD. Was there anything else maybe mentally going on or that you knew of?
She does suffer from anxiety, and once upon a time she was diagnosed with autism. We had her what's the word?
Screened, maybe?
Reevaluated.
Okay.
We had her reevaluated a few months ago, actually, and they told us no, she didn't have autism, but she did have some autistic traits. She did have ADHD, some autistic traits, but not autism. So I'm not sure where to leave with that, because one doctor said she did and one doctor saying she doesn't, and I don't know. She's just in the middle, I guess, because she does have some tendencies, but socially she's pretty great. So I'm not sure.
And with the video that you were able to see whenever your boyfriend dropped her off, where was that? Which video? Was that a surveillance camera?
It was a surveillance camera from the church, Peace Church, right next to Hunters Creek Middle School.
And do you have that video?
I don't have that. They didn't show me. They wouldn't show me. It was actually my sister was the one at location, and they were letting her know what they saw on camera.
Okay.
But they didn't show it to any of us.
Got it. Okay. Jen, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Please, 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 if you have any information, contact me, contact law enforcement. Any information helps. Maddie, if you see this, please come home. Please be safe. I love you very much. If you have my Maddie, please just let her come home. We just want her home.
I just watched the press conference and the sheriff said, he was asked, is the mom a suspect or anything? He said not to his knowledge is the mom a suspect. So I'll go along with what he's saying.
Sheriff, the Madeline mother is cooperating with the investigation?
Yes, we're talking to the mother, yes.
She's not considered a suspect?
So we're talking to the mother in all this. To my knowledge, she's not a suspect in this case right now.
But supposedly, what's weird about Jen's interview, and a lot of people say we, even if she just means him or me, but she said Monday morning we took her to school. Close to the school, she was dropped off right next to the school. We just learned none of this happened. We just learned that Stephan never even dropped Maddie off anywhere near school, allegedly, like he claimed. The sheriff is saying no.
We have video evidence that shows Stephan Sterns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster. At 8:19, we have evidence that shows Stephan Sterns returning to the complex, and Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead at that time.
They found Stephan video of him disposing of her backpack and her school-issued laptop in a dumpster. They don't know where Stephan put her, but they believe Stephan may have done away with Maddie in Kissimmee, I'm assuming in their apartment. I mean, they live in these apartments, I guess, on Santa Maria Drive. But the sheriff didn't go so far as to say the crime happened in that apartment, but he's saying it happened in Kissimmee somewhere.
Our belief that she was killed at the house?
It's our belief that she was killed in Kissimmee and that he moved her body. And so that's why the Kissimmee Police Department is the lead investigators now.
And he believes Madeline was transported somewhere. It sounds like they even have video of Madeline in the car with Stephan. That's what the sheriff said, but he wouldn't go so far as to say if Madeline was still alive or not at that point. I believe she was not alive. He wouldn't delve into details of the video or what made him believe she wasn't alive. Like, was she slumped over? What the heck? There's only so much they can give us in this investigation.
Is there any possible specifics that you can give us as to what leads you to believe that she is definitively deceased?
The video evidence that we have.
Is it about just the position of her body, the way?
So we're not going to go into those exact details, but we have video evidence that leads us to believe that she's already dead.
But when you watch this interview, you can see how creepy Stephan is, lurking around. He's not like just, sitting right next to Jen, being supportive, looking straight ahead, talking in the camera. No, he's either by himself. They caught him during certain snippets, apparently, and then they caught Jen hugging him, and then the rest, usually it's just been Jen by herself, pretty much. Stephan's in the background. I have a bad habit of that, too. Cracking his knuckles. He's nervous. Jen is explaining, Monday morning we took her to school, but, it's no we in this thing here. It wasn't we that took Maddie to school. It was just Stephan, allegedly, what he told Jen, at least, apparently.
As a result of that, although the initial missing persons investigation started in Orange County, the Kissimmee Police Department will now be taking over the investigation and will become the lead agency. And of course, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, all of our support personnel will be available and will still be assisting in this investigation. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Holland from the Kissimmee Police Department. Chief?
Thank you for being here. As Sheriff Mina said, this is still an active and ongoing investigation, and there is a lot of additional information that we cannot release at this time. I do want to note that Stephan Sterns was transported from the Orange County Jail to the Osceola County Jail, where he is being held on capital sexual battery charges filed by the Kissimmee Police Detectives. Right now, our top priority is recovering Madeline. We are still appealing to our community for its help in this case. Please share this crime line bulletin on my right of Stephan Sterns. He was last seen driving a silver 2010 Lincoln MKZ. The Florida tag is IYLL82. On Monday, February 26th, between 1 and 2:30 p.m. in the area of State Road 192 and Old Hickory Tree Road, as well as Old Hickory Tree Road and Nolte Road. During this time frame, it is believed that Sterns had a flat tire and might have been seen changing the tire in this area. If anyone saw this vehicle or noticed anything suspicious, we're asking that they call Crime Line. We will continue to work tirelessly with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, and St. Cloud Police Departments to bring a resolution to this case and recover Maddie. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. We'll take some questions, but just remember, we're still in the middle of this investigation. There's a lot of things that we cannot reveal.
Has Sterns spoken of anything yet? Has Sterns spoken to anybody yet?
No, Sterns has not spoken to anyone.
So he's strolling behind her carrying a drink, and Jen is saying, she crossed the street and walked to school, what we thought. My boyfriend who drove her to school drove away at that point. So that's when we get the knowledge, it wasn't we that drove Maddie to school, it was really your boyfriend. If what's being said on the Facebook groups is correct, Jen might work at Disney. At one point, I think Stephan worked at Disney as one of Disney characters, and of course, parents were up in arms before he was even arrested, because it says it on his Facebook profile, he worked as a Disney character or something. But the statement came out to say no, he does not work there, even before he was arrested. It's weird how Jen says it was seen on video footage that Maddie hung out in the parking lot area of the church for a few minutes, then got up and walked to school. Later in the interview, Maddie will admit cops didn't show anyone that footage. She just says her sister was on scene, and that's, I guess, what her sister was being told. But in the previous press conference, the sheriff said, well, there's video of it, but it's so grainy, they couldn't make out whether that was Maddie or not. So obviously it wasn't if he didn't do the drop-off the way he said.
What about the church footage that somebody mentioned that she was seen wearing she was seen at the church?
So yes, we reviewed that footage. It was very grainy. We weren't able to determine that was her, but like I said, we know that she was never dropped off at school that morning.
So she goes on to talk about it was 9 a.m. That was around 9 a.m. allegedly. This is what Jen thought, what she must have been told. Maddie got up at 9 a.m. from that church parking lot after she waited for a few minutes, and she never made it to school. And Jen is saying, I don't know if something happened along the way or if she got taken, but she never made it. Meanwhile, Creepy McCreeper was in the background, acting so upset. So now I see why the sheriff did say that video is too grainy, but there is other video footage of Maddie, but he didn't elaborate in the previous press conference, but today's press conference he did. So at some point Stephan had gotten a flat tire, so you'll see all the details in the presser coming up where they want people to, you know, if they're witnesses, if they know anything, if they saw Stephan at these specific places and the specific times they'll mention. Monday, specifically that day, February 26th, where he was supposed to be taking Maddie to school, where cops think he was already disposing of her. Stephan is cracking his knuckles when the interviewer is asking Jen, when's the last time you saw her? So Jen saw her daughter that Sunday night. Oh, it's just sad. It was her birthday night, and people can see like the sadness in Maddie's eyes, and just she looks like such a little girl, and I'm comparing photos again, and people once again are pontificating. Now, I only mention this because this is what people are talking about. It's not like I'm trying to put anything on a child, but people are wondering, okay, look at Maddie. On her birthday, she does look like she potentially gained weight. Maybe just she's under so much stress. If her stepfather, as he's called in the affidavit, but he's really just her mother's boyfriend, if he was doing horrible things to her, you know, who could blame her for trying to deal with the stress, either by eating or some people wondering, did he impregnate her? That's why they were wondering the same thing about Audrey. And I know some people get up in arms when you talk about that. Some people got up in arms over Nancy Grace, you know, just pontificating, just speculating what that monster likely did to Audrey. You know, you can put two and two together. It doesn't mean we want any child to ever go through that. It's just when Audrey's pants were found on the riverbank, Don Stephen McDougal, creeper monster, his history of child solicitation, it's not a far leap of logic to say he probably did that to Audrey. Now, of course, we have to wait till all the medical exams come back to see what's what. But the reason some of these horrible people end up getting rid of their victims, especially their female victims, is we know that when a woman or child, unfortunately, is impregnated, that's one of the most dangerous times in that female's life. And of course, we don't want that to be. We don't want any of this to be. I was asking myself, like, this guy, Stephan, why bother a child? You know, just leave the children alone. Why can't you? He's going to talk about intrusive thoughts, and yeah, intrusive thoughts can happen. You don't act on them, and you don't want these weird intrusive thoughts towards children happening. Anyway, I can't even read. I'm just over all these children being hurt. You know, it just gets a little too upsetting. But Stephan Michael Sterns, he's a white male. He was born in 1986, if I could add really quickly. April 25th, 1986. So what does that make him? And 40, 22, take off. He's almost 38 years of age. He'll be 38 years of age next month. He's 6 feet 2 inches tall, 220 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. His eyes look really creepy in a lot of his photos on Facebook. But this was just the affidavit for his arrest warrant when he, all of a sudden, the same day that Maddie disappeared, he performed a factory reset on his phone. Oh, eureka! February 26, 2024. So the license plate reader was capturing Stephan's vehicle. They talk about his Florida tag, IYLL82. And a lot of this is redacted. It's hard to know who they're talking about. They won't talk about, of course, the young victim. But thank God that factory reset didn't stop cops from finding out what the heck was on his phone. Creepy stuff. Several images and videos located which depicted, I will just say, sensitive parts. And basically, it's just showing inappropriate stuff with a child. They won't say which child.
Have you been in touch with Madeline's family? How are they taking this?
Yeah, so obviously detectives have spoken to her mother, and you know, as you can imagine, the reaction that any parent would have.
So this is transitioned from a disappearance investigation to a murder investigation headed up by the Kissimmee Police Department.
That is correct. It is transitioned to a homicide investigation, and the Kissimmee Police Department will be the lead agency in that investigation.
At this point, any new charges?
We're still investigating it.
I have a question for you, Chief, regarding new charges, because we noticed there's an additional charge for sex battery on a victim under the age of 12. Are you continuing to go through his phone and find more evidence?
The detectives are continuing the investigation, and as more evidence comes up, there may be more charges in the future.
Is it believed that Madeline was a victim in that, as part of that investigation?
That's still all part of the investigation, I don't want to say right now.
But unfortunately, if it was Maddie who was his victim, again, who knows how long he's had access to this child, and if the mom's off at work. I don't know if Stephan worked anywhere, if he was like the main caretaker. The mom was the one who went to try and pick Maddie up around 4 something, and she couldn't find her. She went over Maddie's grandma's business not far from the school, couldn't find her there, couldn't find her anywhere, found out she wasn't in school that day, talked to all the friends and everything, and then the mom called the cops around 4:45 p.m. that day. So again, she may have been none the wiser, but the affidavit did say that not only did Stephan's phone feature photos and videos with inappropriate activity with a child, also it featured a man's member with a distinctive bright pinkish marking on the skin for a ways downward, I'll try and say. I'm just trying to be very delicate here. So hopefully that can identify who's the subject of that video. If they can compare it, get a subpoena and look like they did with Michael Jackson, look and see who's the guy in the videos and photos, who's the child, and hopefully maybe they'll add more charges. They've already told us basically in the previous presser that what was happening, what was going on was taking place in that Kissimmee home or apartment. So it's kind of like, it's not a leap to think Maddie was Stephan's victim, and now they're saying they believe definitely he did something bad to her and then moved her body. I was kind of hoping, maybe Maddie did just run away, but they said that's not like her. There was some kind of talk about Maddie saying when she turned 13, she wanted to go live off in the woods, but the context of that was that she was either talking to friends or someone who they were saying, oh, the world's so bad. If World War III pops off, I'm going to go live in the woods.
We were able to access Madeline's phone, and there is information on the phone that indicated that she told people when she turned 13, which was on February 22nd, she actually wanted to go live in the woods. So that was in her phone.
So that was the context. But obviously, yes, there was escape talk, and kids or people don't really talk like that when you have a comfortable home. If you have a home you love and you're surrounded by love and people who really care for you and aren't harming you, you would think, oh, if something pops off, I'm going to hunker down. I'm going to be around my family. But for Maddie to say, I'd go run off and live in the woods, that shows you she didn't feel safe at home. And I hope they find her. So all the other stuff about, we were told, oh, she was dropped off at the church, and all that stuff is bunk. So you can watch all the surrounding press conferences and interviews and the weird interviews. We'll see if any more charges come, if anyone else is arrested. At this point, Maddie's mom, unfortunately, could have been just none the wiser. Let's just look at those Reddit. That's what I want to go over real quick, the Reddit stuff. This guy, he has like this mature Reddit, like you'll get a warning when you try and go find sustinet. But someone had asked, what is the hardest part of dating after 30? And sustinet answered 285 days ago, finding people to date that haven't spent all their teens and 20s in the sun with minimal sun protection, making them all look like a 70-year-old Clint Eastwood. So he's saying basically everybody looks old, I guess down in Florida, because you're dating after 30, everybody looks older like a 70-year-old Clint Eastwood. That shows his vanity. And then he wrote, plus all the emotional baggage in kids from first marriages or absent fathers. Honestly, dating in after your 30s is an ish show these days. One begins to understand the DiCaprio strategy. Ugh. First of all, you don't look like DiCaprio. But secondly, he's calling children from prior marriages or relationships emotional baggage and kids from first marriages. So it just shows you, okay, he wasn't in the right frame of mind or soul or whatever to be some stepfather to Maddie. Like, he was gross. And to just read the arrest affidavit, He was sharing, I guess, posts with a lot of weapons in them. So I don't know what that's about. And then 2 years ago, the Sustinet wrote, "No one should take their relationship advice off of TikTok for starters. People on TikTok are idiots, period. You shouldn't get all hung up at all about whether your partner has ever had intrusive sexual thoughts. It's not like you are fantasizing constantly, but she should not be hurt by it because a dumbass TikTok told her she should be. Is she really going to sit there and act like she's never had a stray thought randomly pop into her head for the entire year you two have been together?" I don't know what he's responding to here. Is she the lady Jesus? It's perfectly normal to have all sorts of weird and random thoughts, or even downright disturbing intrusive thoughts. Our brains are just weird that way. It's like he's almost excusing away his own proclivities. And yeah, I get it. Like, you don't want to be all holier than thou and act like we haven't had strange thoughts. Anyone might have thoughts of like cheating on their husband or wife, and yeah, that comes up. Or, you know, you might have strange thoughts, but you really got to cast those thoughts down. And secondly, you just don't act on some weird thoughts over children. I mean, if he was using this as an excuse to brush off, I don't know how long he's been with Maddie's mom. I haven't been that deep into the case to try and verify like when they met. I was looking for, but I haven't found it yet. But if you know, he's there, he has access to Maddie, did he start having weird intrusive thoughts? And not only did he not battle against those or say, I need to go heal myself, or, you know, go to the Lord and have this taken away and get me away from this little girl. Obviously, he stayed with the thoughts and acted on them. This affidavit is horrible. Like, anyone having those type of intrusive thoughts towards a child, you just stay away from children, first of all. And then you battle against it. You don't accept it and say, oh, our brains are just weird that way, you know? Like, ugh. So he has a whole bunch of virtual pets and those Tamagotchis he's all into, I guess. Yeah, for sure. The Observer said this guy arrested was not a Disney cast member, so they really want to distance themselves from him. Questions everywhere. People are confused over them calling the house an apartment a house. It's just an apartment from what I'm seeing, but people are saying house, and they're like, if something happened, how come Maddie's mom didn't hear it? The police did not say any murder occurred directly in that apartment. So it's just sad. Some people are theorizing, will the mom be arrested next? And again, I'm going easy on her because I just don't know what she knew or what she didn't know. I guess there's an interview here with the grandmother. She must be speaking in Spanish, but apparently Maddie's grandmother said that her daughter Jen worked the night before, so that would have been Sunday night, and most likely woke up very tired and likely told the boyfriend to take her to school, which was not the norm, as the mom usually took her to school. She also said in the church video, a girl can be seen with a green sweater, sitting on the bench and then standing up and going left towards the school, and that she strongly believes someone snatched her. So yeah, that apparently is not what happened. So I'm sure more will come out about this creepy creepster's activities, and I just hope they're able to find where he put Maddie. It's just enough. It's just enough of these people harming children. It's hard for anyone to harm anyone, adult or child, but the cases involving the children are just, they hit the hardest because children are so innocent. And again, I can't blame the mom, but we don't want to be so desperate in any manner as to let anyone around our children that's just not worthy, that might have proclivities we don't know about. The thing is, this guy's background, I guess, is pretty clean. I think I've only seen like driving infractions, so she wouldn't have known. And a lot of people are so secretive with their phones, and he tried to delete evidence according to cops and everything. That factory reset, it didn't work. That's one great thing about technology. At least a lot of stuff that people try to hide is uncovered. So at least he's put away. Hopefully they can add more charges by finding Maddie, so the charges can hopefully stick. I don't know. I just wish I really had a solution for, first of all, any of us, even if we or lonely people or people out there, don't be so desperate as to bring people, especially around children, that just won't be good for the children. Like that TikToker, who the F did I marry TikToker, you know, she married this guy kind of out of desperation. She didn't want to be lonely. She didn't want to like quarantine alone. She married him. She found out all sorts of stuff about him and she lost her baby. And a lot of people say she dodged a bullet with that guy because he turned out to be a criminal she didn't even know about, just a pathological liar. The same with the case of Audrey. They had her exposed too much to that weird McDougal, and the family saying they didn't know about his past, but he was a creeper. And now we have Maddie Soto, who 13, should have been just, you know, with her mom. If it were just her and her mom, that would have been fine. It would have been no worries until God brings along the right person. I wish, and this is not to blame her mom again, because certain people put on a face where you would have no idea who they really are. It's just, we want to protect our children above all. Her mom shouldn't have let herself get too lonely to just have any old creeper around her daughter. Stephan himself shouldn't have been so sick-minded or whatever that, you know, I was going to open this video like, why can't he just have taken care of himself in the shower and leave the children alone? I don't know if that's the answer. Of course, maybe that's just too simplistic thinking. I know people get urges, but when your urges start going towards children, like, just know that is not right. That is just wrong. Leave the children alone. And again, there are questions of how long it's going on. If any of these victims, we will find out whether they were impregnated or not. And again, I'm not putting that on the victim, as some people say. I'm not putting any of this on them. I didn't want this to happen to any of them. I'm only saying that because that's when it becomes more dangerous. That's when it becomes more evident. A person's sins will surely find them out. So, who knows, in the case of Audrey, it could be possible. In the case of Maddie, it could be possible. These perverts given access to these children, and especially for long periods of time, and the children, you know, entering puberty or in that stage. If potentially, this is just conjecture, if they were impregnated, that's one reason, a sick reason. All of it are sick reasoning, sick rationale, sick actions, but they get to a point where their secrets are going to be exposed. The predator gets desperate and they try and get rid of the child that represents their sin, their wrong action. It's no fault of the child's. It's just what some of these sick individuals do, add sin on top of sin, wrongdoing on top of wrongdoing, when the children should just be left alone. I mean, I'm going to stop right here. It's just sad to hear that update. Jeremiah 22:16. He defended the cause of the afflicted and needy. Then all was well. Is that not what it means to know me, says the Lord? So that reminds me, these afflicted and needy children who need a safe place to live, he's going to defend their cause. So thank God Stephen McDougal was caught. Thank God in this instance that Stephan Sterns is caught. He's not talking. He wasn't showing up before the judge. You know, these guys, they don't want to be in front of the media. The sick way McDougal showed up with no clothes on during his arraignment. It's sad. We'll see where these cases go. I'm grateful they have the evidence for the update so they can update us all, but it's just such a sad update. And maybe it can be a cautionary tale to everyone. Anyone whose partner is acting shady, you know, it's a cautionary tale to get them away from the kids. Just do what you got to do. On the low, secretive, get them away from the kids. Or it's a cautionary tale for anyone, you know, feeling those sick feelings, I guess, towards youngsters, to seriously seek out real help and don't act on those horrible thoughts. So we'll keep posted on this case and many others. Thank you for watching.
Sheriff, there's been a lot of things that you just laid out here just now. This location in the afternoon, is there a belief, are we trying to figure out, I know you're requesting video surveillance in that area, are you trying to figure out whether she was still with this car at that time?
Yeah, so it could be helpful to us if people saw something, and obviously, you know, we're searching many different areas, but if someone saw something in that area, you know, we want to know about it.
The area you've already searched?
What's that?
Where this car supposedly had a flat, is that an area you've already searched?
So we actually have people searching areas right now. So they've searched a bunch of different areas, and they're going to continue to search. So I don't want to go into specifics on exactly where. I don't want to miss something.
Sheriff, the mother is cooperating with the investigation?
Did she leave the house?
One more time.
Did she leave the house? Was she, at that time, did you believe that she was, did she leave the house on her own?
So what I'll say is what I already said is that we believe he moved her body in those early morning hours, and all that is still under investigation.
You had mentioned that he dropped some items in the dumpster. Did you recover those?
That's correct. So from the dumpster, we recovered her backpack and her school-issued laptop.
Sheriff, do we believe that I know that you're piecing things together with different portions of video. Is it the
As per messages that you'd said that Madeline might have sent about living in the woods when she turned 13, are you questioning whether those were actually sent by her rather than someone else?
Yeah, that's all part of the investigation, so we haven't determined that yet.
Are you assigning extra personnel to this case over the weekend? Are searches continuing? Can you talk about?
That's correct. Searches are continuing as we speak. And so, like I said, we have people who are working nonstop. And so every lead that comes in, every piece of evidence that we receive, we're going to follow up on that. And if that leads us to a new search area, we'll be out all weekend.
Everybody good?
Agreed.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Sheriff.